October 30th. Now is the time. I've been waiting 30 days for my Iowa whitetail season to finally get out, but I'm finally seeing what I want to see to be able to make a move and go in. And I want to talk with you about history repeats itself and using data and using your historical pictures in your phone to help you know your spots and also your timing, because the reality is these windows are repeatable. Regardless of where you are geographically, in your area, you are going to have these windows of time. Here in the Midwest, it's going to be sooner than down in Mississippi. However, you can use your historical data to figure that out. Some of the ways you can do it is you can go into your apps, you can look in your pictures from last year or the year before that and see what they tell you. Go all the way back to when we didn't have mobile stealth cams and we actually had to put things on our computer using SD cards. What you can do is you can go in and you can sort those according to dates taken. And then you can start to look at your timelines of October 30th and go all the way back and see what spots you got pictures of good bucks and what spots you didn't, because this is important. And here's a perfect example. Here's a picture of a spot 2 days ago. It was the 28th of October. This is a spot, you know, right here, middle of the night. It should be packed with deer, right? And it has no pictures. It has literally been getting nothing. However, if I go back 1 year and look at this same food plot in December, it's a much different story. And this is so critical, because just because you have a good spot doesn't mean it's good all the time. There's windows of time, and your historical data, history will repeat itself. Certain spots are great early, certain spots are great for the rut, certain spots are great late. So if you're focusing on the spots where you know you've had historical data, this is going to be critical. Now I'm going to go to this next picture right here. This is yesterday. Yesterday, I had a hot doe go through one of the places that I can hunt. Hot doe went through, and it's obvious by pictures that things were going crazy. Bucks that I've never seen before all of a sudden showed up, and that's why now is my time. This is what I've been waiting for. I'm using my data to tell me where to go and also when. Here's a picture right here. I just want to zoom in. Here's a buck fight, okay? There's a buck fight right there. This buck fight was 2 days ago at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, here's another buck. Great buck right here. Same thing, just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. These bucks are on their feet right now. And what's important about this is these spots, these cameras were zilch. There was nothing going on. And I have cameras in different spots. Some on food sources, some in bedding areas, some in travel corridors, some in thickets. These are all the different areas that at different times of year produce. But for me, if they're not there, I choose to not tread. But now is when I'm literally suiting up and getting ready to fire off my season. These are pictures from different spots in the last 3 days since that hunter's moon that I told you about, all in different spots. But these were spots that I'm telling you were just vacant. It seemed like there was nothing there, but these guys have got on their feet. They are now day walkers. And when you have a day walker, that is when you've got to get out. So I'm going to give you a few more things to think about here. Look at this. November 3rd, 2021. This was a picture, it's a buck I never saw, but it's a buck that I got a picture on November 3rd, and this tells me that in this spot, in that window of time, is when these roamers just come out of nowhere. I got one more picture of that buck on November 6th. So if the wind is right for this spot, not to say that this buck will show up again, but it does show that this area that has a lot of does is going to produce a buck that I haven't seen cruising through. These are the types of things that are critical for you. Here we go, last year, 11.7. This is important as well because this is actually on a food source that historically has a ton of deer in there early. However, and I'm talking does, however, once this rut starts happening, this field is vacant of does. And this is important because right now the does, some of them aren't ready yet. Some of them want to just get out of the way because these guys are on their feet. They're ready to breed. The does may not be. So when you look and you see this vacant food plot, which historically has got a lot of does in it a week earlier and sooner, this just goes to show you that these bucks are going to be cruising these edges, and just because the does aren't there doesn't mean the bucks won't be there. So it really helps you understand where you should go. Go back in your phone, click on albums, click on years. It's going to bring up the different months that you have for each year. You're going to be in that October, November, and you need to go back and just look through what you were doing and some of the deer you were seeing or interacting with through these past years, and you might realize, oh man, I remember I went to that spot on that day. It was so awesome. These things do repeat themselves, and using this data from your cams or your phone is so important. This is a video right here of a buck interacting with my decoy. Now this is important because people say, well, when's the time to use a decoy? When you go back and you look at your own data on your phone and you see an interaction that you have, well, now what I can do is I can go in and look. It was November 8th. That's that window of time when the decoys were working good. I look at my phone, I saw my decoy earlier that I was using earlier in the month, and I didn't have this success like this. I had a few does interacting with it that were a little sketchy, but you know what? Once it got into the end of that first week, the bucks were interacting enough to give me that opportunity. So take what you've got and use it. History does repeat itself. Now is the time for me because I'm getting what I want to see, and I'm looking back in my phone and I'm seeing the interaction that I had a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago during these same 2-week windows. So I was patient. Now it's time to get out there and strike.